What's up, people? This is Lit P episode 49. We're talking about Coleman's getting his words in on what worship leaders wear.
Yeah.
He had something to say about Chelsea boots and brought some other interesting elements to the table when it comes to shoes in general. Then we move on to talk about if you're a drummer, a great discussion on a scaled down acoustic kit.
Yes.
And
if you're a drummer, we haven't done a drummer episode in a while, so this one's for you. Shout out to all you drummers out there.
But, you might be a little butthurt, too, because what it really comes down to is that you need to be a selfless drummer.
Hey, that's true.
But
that's
even
true.
if you're not a drummer, you should still listen to this because being selfless and adapting to your environment applies to every single person on stage.
Get butthurt, noobs.
Yeah. Let's get this thing started. Follow us on all the stuff and do the stuff. And if you want to be a patron, go to the patron at patreon.com.
And we're bringing this back. Unfollow MASH on Instagram and other mediums.
Welcome to another great episode of Life in the Pocket.
Yes.
We're
welcome.
Back. This is episode 49. It should be, unless
something happens.
Unless John Chris returns. Oh, wait, he did.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just really overloaded that.
We might pander that. I know we kind of touched on it in a couple of episodes ago, but he's officially, I guess, returned with his first video, and I think it's great. Anyways, Coleman here, Hunter's here, Mash is not here.
Mash is living the good life.
Yeah,
in Toledo Bend.
Yeah, as we discussed last episode, he's with his girlfriend on Toledo Bend. Did you send me another one?
Yes,
okay.
I'm sending you a file because I have an idea. We're gonna play a little bit of that as well when we talk about drums.
All right, sick.
Sorry, spoilers. We might talk a little bit about drums on this episode. Who knows?
Hold on.
Anything could happen.
Wait, whoa. Yes, we are talking about drums.
Yeah.
So we've got some stuff driggity dragged in here, and we'll bring it in as we need to. But right now we don't need to.
Right.
So
we don't need to yet.
Today,
that's okay.
We're talking about, what was one of the things I texted you that we need to talk about before we go into drums?
You said we already talked about.
I want to hear your, okay, so Coleman wasn't here when we talked about worship leader clothes.
I have a lot to say.
He has some stuff to say on that topic.
A lot to say.
So we kind of came to a conclusion. Let me say this before we get into it. We came to a conclusion that the basic is like black skinnies, black shirt, and then whatever you put around all that kind of defines your
right.
That's if you're classifying a worship leader. Let me tell you this story. So now, as a little thing that Lit P does, I shared a photo and said, "Hey, classify this worship leader." Well, Hunter, as a person on Facebook, shared it to the Gear Talk Praise and Worship.
Right. Yep.
And as you could imagine, they start firing off.
Madness ensues.
With, how about a child of God who wants to worship his father?
No,
and so
they didn't.
My first response was, where it's got the black guy, and he goes, "Oh, okay." Like, it was literally like, I'm not hating on anybody. I'm just like, let's just classify these people. One guy had a great thing. He said, hipster surfer grunge. And I was like, surfer.
Ooh, surfer.
We've never done surfer.
We didn't talk about surfers.
So, but anyways, so that's what we'll be doing on the Lit P page every once in a while is we'll post a worship leader, and we want you to classify them. Like, use three words, no more than 4, on what that worship leader style is. But I think one of the things that Coleman wants to hit on is that we were hard against Chelsea boots.
Yeah. Yeah, here's the thing. I'm not a huge Chelsea boot guy. Like, I have a couple different pairs. I think it's a good look. That's why when I heard everybody attacking Chelsea boots, I immediately texted Hunter and Mash and was like, "Y'all are wrong." Actually, I might have texted the Lit P group chat. There's a plug. If you want to be a patron, and actually, what do you have to do to get in the group chat?
I can't remember the amount.
It's like $1
right now. When you become a patron, you pretty much just get in the Lit P group chat.
So I texted in the group chat, was like, "Hey, you guys are wrong about Chelsea boots." Nobody even had the gall to respond. No one even responded to me.
Gosh.
But here's the thing. Okay, I just wanted to come to the defense because I'm pro Chelsea boot. Like I think it's a good look. But my main thing, which y'all didn't talk about, y'all talked about Thursdays, which who has enough money for those besides Mash? And Justin Woodall, if he's listening, he has the exact same ones.
I went and everybody's like Thursdays, and I was like, all right, Thursday, boom, $200.
No, sir.
Whoa,
no, sir.
So I found a pair that looked like Thursdays at H&M for $10.
There it is. So here's where I was going to go with this. So black shirt, black skinnies, sure, that's an outfit that I wear pretty often. And you said everything else that you wear kind of defines who you are. See, I wear Clarks. I don't know if anybody else are Clarks people out there, but it's not the Chukka boots. I used to have Chukkas and I loved them, and I've always wanted to buy.
See, I never heard.
I've always
Chukka.
wanted to buy another pair, but I haven't. They are called desert boots, I believe. They're like higher than the Chukka boots. Clark's
like
does.
Chugga.
Hold on, no, I'm wrong. Anyway, I should have been more prepared for this conversation, but I wasn't. So yeah. Anyway, they're higher than the Chukka. These are like the normal Chukkas, Hunter, like this.
Oh, okay.
You've seen those.
So those aren't bad.
I've rocked those back in the day. Sorry, my freaking computer isn't on silent like a noob. That actually might have been you.
Well,
I think it came both.
Yeah. Evan. I tried to get Evan to come on the pod too. He
bailed.
Yeah, he bailed.
Shoot. So
Evan Wooten.
I have these boots from Clark's that are great. And they're just what I rock with they're brown, they're brown boots. And they only cost like $120, and I wear them like almost every day, and they last me like several years. So I'm good with that.
Nice.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
But if I'm not wearing black on black, somebody said something about color has to be. What did they say? Something about color.
Your color. So Evan Rome was saying color is like your waist up, like your jean jacket or your hat or
right. Okay. I mean, I guess I understand his sentiment there. I'm not gonna wear any like red pants or anything like that, but like shoes, to me, like if I had more money, I would have way more shoes. I'm like a shoe guy, so
me too.
I see like.
So you're putting a lot more emphasis on the shoes.
Exactly. Like Mash, I think touched on this was he has like some shoes that have like some color on them.
Yeah.
And so he'll rock like an all black fit with those shoes that have like a pop of color. And then it's like, wham, look at your shoes,
Yeah.
So I do that a little bit as well. Like one thing I like to do is go black shirt, black jeans, like we've talked about, the staple, with all white shoes. That's a look. Okay. So I wear a lot of Vans. My favorites are like the ones that I have right now are like these low top. I don't even know what they're called. They're not like
traditional.
Like the
slip-on Vans?
No.
Okay.
I haven't rocked the slip-ons.
You got a pair of checkerboard Vans?
I used to. I had gray. I had gray and black checkerboard slip-on Vans.
Sick.
And I'm not gonna lie to you, I rocked those puppies for quite a while, but I've just moved on from those.
Grown up a little.
Yeah, I mean a little.
You still have Vans, just the
Here
checkerboard is more of a youth thing.
Here they are. Hold on, I'm about to find them.
It's more of a, hey, Mayday Parade's new album came out.
Exactly. Like if I was still in really deep in the punk scene, I know that I would still rock them a lot. But since I'm not, it's. I just don't anymore. So I don't know what else to say about that. But I was really trying hard to find these Vans. Okay, so these right here.
Ooh,
right there,
those are nice.
Right there.
I dig those.
I have those in like a cream color.
Yeah.
They're like
I like those high tops
they're like
too.
off-white.
Those blue ones?
Yeah, those are sweet. Those are sweet. But I have those, and I really like those. So they're like all white, and I rock it with like all black.
Sick.
Also, something that wasn't touched on.
Okay, so remember that because I need to say something.
Okay.
But you're a drummer. So, like, when
Right.
Brad, our drummer here at First Halton, so he was like, I guess we need to get skinny jeans. So, let me tell you this, too. I bought skinny jeans. I sent them a picture.
Had to do it.
I made the jump. This Sunday is our first Sunday with Modern Worship, so I had to fit the bill.
Absolutely.
And so far, it's gone over well. People are loving it.
Nice.
So,
You've kind of tried it out at work a few times.
Yeah,
nice.
Exactly.
Nice. Tested the waters a little.
What I did is I wore my pair of skinny jeans with no rips on Sunday.
Nice.
Okay, and then people were like, "Oh yeah, it's nice." Blah. So then I wore the ripped ones on Monday.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, if they're like,
"Whoa,
what are you doing?
What?
That's too far."
Right.
Then they're like, "I like it." So now I know I'm approved to wear ripped and non-ripped skinny jeans on Sunday.
That's a good thing.
So
it's always good to have the approval of your peers.
Yeah,
you know,
they got my back.
They have your back. Yeah.
So our drummer, his name's Brad. He's like, I guess I have to get a pair too. And he's like, I'm going to get some black skinnies. I didn't move to black skinnies yet. I couldn't make that jump. I'm just kind of,
you're working
slowly into
it.
the
I
deep,
get it. I get it.
end.
I get it. I get it.
And so I was like, yeah, but you're a drummer. So like your focal point has to be your shoes. I feel like all drummers you look for the shoes, for fly shoes.
Maybe. Yeah,
I don't know why that is.
It's true.
Maybe
I mean, that's how I am.
Maybe
that's how I am for sure.
Maybe you've created that in me because you always have fly shoes.
Well, so today I'm wearing American Eagle off-brand Birkenstocks, but
here's what I'm wearing.
Usually Sperry's with the ankle black socks, man. That's a staple there. That's a staple.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what I was gonna say is something that wasn't touched on in the fashion episode was socks. Okay, and this is something that's not talked about often.
You know what? You're a sock guy. Now that you said that.
I'm a long white sock guy. And Mash does do this too, so I was hoping he would bring it up. But it's a look. It's not people don't talk about it enough.
That's true.
Like, to me, if I'm rocking shorts and just I don't know, I have some Pumas. Not the like old Pumas that people wore when we were in middle school. They're pretty cool. I like them a lot. They're just like simple black Puma, like sneakers. I don't know. And I always wear them. I've worn them like that. They're like probably the shoes that I wear the most because they're like simple and they're comfortable. Mm-hmm. And if I rocked those with short socks, it'd be one thing, you know? I mean, it'd be fine, but it'd be one thing. But if I rock those puppies with the long whites, it's a statement.
Yeah.
You know? It's not like a hey, look at me statement. It's just like you might look down at my shoes now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, whereas before, it's like if you're wearing short socks, you might not even ever look down to see someone's shoes.
That's true.
You might never even, but then if you're wearing long socks, I've noticed this with my own dad. I walked into work one day and it was on a day like we had to do work. Like I don't often wear just shorts to work. I mean, I could if I wanted to, but like I just don't.
When you're doing labor, you bring
shorts exactly. So I'm wearing shorts and I had on long socks. I walk up, the first thing my dad does, looks straight down at my shoes and socks. And I was like, it's psychological. It's psychological. You got it. I don't know what
socks lead you to the shoes.
Exactly. I mean, and of course, if you went crazy with your socks, of course you're going to look down at your shoes.
Yeah.
But I usually just try to keep it simple. Either long whites with. I mean, it does need. This is going to sound vain, but it needs some type of logo. Or
so you're not just talking about the long white Dad Hanes socks.
No. Or tube socks. They have the stripe. Yeah. So I have several pairs of tube socks, several pairs of white socks that are like have the Puma logo on them.
Yeah.
Vans logo, all that. Nike works. Mash wears the Nike whites. I've noticed Mash, just in case you were wondering if anybody noticed. I noticed, buddy. I noticed. And yeah, so I just wanted to touch on socks because I think it's important. And I would just rebuke what you said about Chelsea boots, and then that's it. I think everything else was solid.
You know, here's what I see when I see Chelsea boots.
Okay, tell me.
I see the first immediate thing, and maybe I am what is it? What is it? The opposite when you don't like women? What's that called?
When you don't like women and
Yeah.
you're a man?
Yeah.
I think they call that gay.
No. like you're a feminist or a what? I don't know. Whatever the opposite of that is.
You're a
Okay, here, let me just explain.
Oh,
then you
misogynist?
Yes.
Okay.
Misogynist.
Okay.
Okay. Whatever.
Yeah, I found it. I'm sorry.
You're gay?
I didn't know where you were going with this, all right? I'm
So,
not going to lie to you.
And I'm really not saying that I am this, but I'm saying this is probably what people are going to stereotype me. I see my wife buys those little boat.
I see. All right. Okay. Yeah.
And they have the little.
The heel. The
not,
little heel.
Not the heel.
But just the boot heel.
Well, maybe it is the heel, but for me, it's more that little piece of stretchy. All Chelseas have that piece of stretchy on the sides.
Yeah, on the sides. Gotcha.
And that's why I don't like it. I feel like every boot needs to have some sort of lace.
Okay. I can.
It's the non-laces that do me.
Okay.
Unless they're Crocs.
Unless they're Crocs.
Don't need, but I don't wear Crocs for worship.
Okay.
So.
Okay. All right. I'll accept it, but I didn't understand how there was 3 for 3 going against Chelsea boots the other day. It just seemed stacked.
Well,
I don't know.
When I reached out to Gear Talk Praise and Worship, it was heavy. It was like half and half Thursday, half and half, or half Thursday, half Chelsea. So I mean, it's pretty popular in the worship world.
Yeah. And again, I have like a pair of sale Chelsea boots that I got at Target that I like that are black. I have some other boots that I don't even think I'd call Chelsea boots because they have a zipper, not the stretchy sides. I don't know if we'd call those Chelseas or not, but they're similar in style. They're just
you got zip up boots.
They're zip up. Anyway, so yeah, I'm just like I'm not necessarily like wearing Chelseas every day or anything, but I'm not anti Chelsea. Whoever Chelsea is, I'm not against you. I'm for you.
For you. For you, not against you. So let's move on into a topic that'll probably take the rest of the pod. And I think it's pretty interesting, or it's hitting right now.
It's hitting.
Because before Coleman even talked about this, before Coleman even talked about this,
before I spoke a word,
yes,
you were thinking over it. But, worship people are going to get that one.
So Coleman has always had this thing called a cajon snare, and he uses it kind of a scaled down acoustic kit. But I'll just leave it at that and let him explain the rest. But so I was on Instagram, I think, and I saw a video from the Shane and Shane. What's that one called? Worship Initiative.
Yes.
And so they have a drummer. I guess it's Shane and Shane's drummer or something. I don't know.
I would assume so.
So he's explaining his kind of acoustic kit. And so I was expecting it to be like a Coleman-ish vibe. And it, for the most part, it was.
It's similar.
He added more like auxiliary things.
Yeah.
Like those little shell wood things. I don't like those.
Yes. I'm not a huge fan. They're hooves. They're goat hooves.
Wonderful.
That made me feel weird. I'm not going to lie when I was watching that video. What I was going to say, so the difference in the cajon snare is you lose a little bit of top end like crisp that you have with a traditional snare. So you have to EQ it to where you kind of have to find a happy medium, because it's like the great thing about cajon snare is that it's really low volume. Yeah, we got a mower.
The freaking lawnmower decided to stop right by the Brary while we're filming the pod.
Yes.
And just sit there.
Sit there. It's fine. It's fine, bro. It's not a big deal. So what was I saying? Okay, so with the cajon snare, it's like a happy, like, it's very low volume.
Yes.
But it sounds like the snare part of a cajon.
It's got the pillowiness of the snare.
Yeah, it's like full.
Yeah.
Full. But like it has a little bit of snap, but not a lot. And so you kind of have to mess with EQ to like make it sound like more snary. But I've always had good luck with it. Like, I mean, it's a good sounding snare. But after watching that video, what he did was he had an ocean drum.
Yes, that was freaking cool.
Basically is this like drum that I think you like. It's kind of like a rain stick where you like kind of turn it one way and this stuff rolls and it sounds like the ocean. And what he did was he had that set up as his snare, and he also taped a shaker to the top to give it a little more texture on the top, which I'm thinking about doing with the Cajon snare.
Look, this one right here is only $34.
Oh yeah, it's a steal.
And that's Nino. There's a Meinl one that's $74. So I don't know if brands have any more value, but.
And what I will say about the Cajon snare, the reason I like it so much is because if you're a heavy hitter like me and Mash, Mash played on Wednesday, beat the crap out of that thing, which it was okay because it's not going to get that loud. And so what I was going to say about that ocean drum, I don't know how crazy you could go with that.
Too.
You could probably
sound harsh real quick.
Yeah. And like you probably couldn't do like a da, 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 like you can on the Cajon snare. You can. It's basic. The Cajon snare to me is more like a snare replacement. This is like a different alternative. Yeah. Like you'd have to play it differently than a snare.
When he opened up the video and was playing the kit, I was like, they got that 80s that 80s gated reverb on the snare, and it wasn't. It sounds like that. It's got this long It almost sounds like a gated
Yeah,
it's kind of
It was cool. But anyway, what we were going to talk about a little bit was just kind of similar topic to that video, which their whole goal with that video was to give you an option, like show because they're always doing acoustic kind of setups like that, like low volume setups. And so I just kind of wanted to talk about that low volume, like alternatives. How does it stack up with, like, say, an electronic kit and an acoustic kit? What are the benefits of those?
Because being a good drummer doesn't mean you show up with your full kit when you're playing with an acoustic guitar.
You gotta be flexible, and you need to like be able to, if like on Wednesday, Mash had his 24-inch Jazz Ride that he brought. That thing washes out and is loud because it's 24 inches.
Yes.
And so it was like really kind of like mid-range, low-end wash. And like it kind of like after we rehearsed a couple of songs, Derek, our sound guy, was like, can we try something else? Like it's kind of just washing everything out. And he was like, yeah, let me get this. And he got something else out and tried, and it was great. So instead of just getting like offended, just know that stuff like this is going to happen.
It's malleable.
It's happened my entire life of playing drums. Like it's always going to happen. You either are going to have to adjust your playing, you're going to have to adjust your setup, or you're going to have to just figure out something new to do to fix it. And we're in like a pretty small room, holds like 200 to 250 people at max. Not a huge room, so we can't just come out guns blazing with a full drum kit, regular snare, and cymbals.
Well, here's the thing: you can. It's just going to sound.
Yeah, it's just going to sound terrible.
Yeah,
and I want it to sound good.
Yes.
So that's why we moved to the Cajon snare. That's why we play with Cajon like brushes. And guess what? It sounds good.
So describe your Cajon or your acoustic setup.
Okay, so my setup that I typically use is a kick, which is just a smaller kick. You could use any size kick. Kicks aren't typically what are super loud. A kick, the Cajon snare that Index makes, I think they call it the Index snare now. I could be wrong. A floor tom and hi-hats and a ride. That is what I always use. Now, what we're going to take a look at in a minute is a good buddy of mine, and I've been a fan of this guy for a long, long time. He's been doing drum covers for a long, long time, and I've watched him since I was in high school. And I randomly met him at a conference. He works on staff at a church in Tyler, Texas, which is like an hour and a half from us. And so whenever JP and Hunter bailed, I can't think of any other word, but bailed.
I mean, that's accurate.
And they bailed on camp. And I will say we had to cancel camp when we were back on, and there was this whole big thing because of COVID. But so Hunter and JP can't go, so I got to scramble to find people. And I'm grasping at straws. Okay, I'm like, there's no chance this guy's gonna go, but here, I guess I'll ask. So I ask Brandon if he can go. He says yes. I'm like, what is going on?
Sick.
So he's gonna go. And so what he brought was the same setup that I just told you, except he brought a Roland SPD SX drum sampling pad, which added a lot, by the way. I don't know if it's really going to reflect that in the recording that I play for you in a second, but he used it so well, so tastefully. And he actually brought a drum that A&F makes, which is it's called like a flapjack snare. It's like this thin.
So they make one, or Index makes one too.
Okay. So it's basically, it has a head on it. It has actual snare wires on it.
Oh, okay. Well, so Index flapjack snare is just a squashed version of the...
Right.
Okay.
And so this is actually a snare. It's smaller, but it has snares on it. And like you can tune it low and put a big fat snare drum like head on it and make it sound like fat. And it did sound fat. But the tent that we were in, it was still too like overpowering. The snares were too loud. So I had brought the Index snare just in case. So we used the Index snare and it sounded better. And so I'm just going to have Hunter play a little clip of just the drums recorded, soloed out. And I've EQ'd and compressed this a little bit, but not a lot of work done to it. Like this is pretty much what it sounded like. You're going to hear in the overhead mics that you'll hear like the crowd and stuff. Like it's very live sounding. But I just wanted to, he's going to build this up, and granted, this is like a very low volume kit, very low volume option, and it sounds huge.
It's like the floor tom sounds deeper than the kick. Is that right?
It was tuned well. And right now he's playing the ride with a hot rod, and he's playing the floor tom, and when he comes in with snare with a cajon brush.
Yeah, that cajon brush makes such a difference.
And that cajon snare just sounds like, when you EQ it, just sounds like a snare.
It does.
Like, it doesn't sound super different. It doesn't sound like you're playing a cajon. Like, when you play a cajon, you have a crappy kick drum sound and a crappy snare sound.
Yep.
And I don't really know why anybody plays them, honestly. I freaking hate those things. So anyway, yeah,
So shout out to
Brandon Culpepper.
Yeah.
Brandon GH5. If you go search him on YouTube, you'll find all the covers I'm talking about. And
subscribes to his YouTubes.
He used to just do like camera one shot, still one shot, but camera audio, like nothing fancy. He's recently like done mic stuff, like he covers like worship stuff recently. Very good. Covered The Blessing the other day. It's freaking fantastic.
Sick.
Just really good. So where I was going with that is I was this way when I was in high school, where if somebody told me I was too loud, I rolled my eyes and I like would just dig my feet in and be like,
understand.
I don't freaking care if I'm too loud. And what I didn't understand is if I'm too loud, nothing else sounds good. Like it's just going to sound bad. And I didn't really understand that. And so now I really just want this experience to be good. You know, like now we'll say this. If we can pump the overall volume up a few dB and have me play normally, I would be for that.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like, I'd rather it just be really loud. If the mix can be solid still and just be a little louder and me play real drums, I'm for that.
Yeah.
But that's not always the case. Like, you have to be reasonable and just be flexible. Just don't be a jerk. Like, I get it. Like, sometimes sound people are jerks. You can attest to that.
75%.
75% of the time, that's a generous estimate too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know how I know two sound people in Hunter and Derek Gunter that like aren't just jerk holes.
Yeah. Every time people work, I'm not stroking my own ego here, but my goal is I'm not going to be that sound guy that is just, you don't know what you're talking about. Here, let me tell you what's right and you're wrong type thing. I'm trying to make everything sound good. So when I go up to people, I'm like, here's the deal.
Here's what's going on.
And so I'll explain it to them. And every time that happens, I almost forget it because I don't, normally you don't work with other sound guys as a sound guy.
Right.
And they're like, bro, everybody else is just a butthole.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
it's true. And so I grew up with a few sound people like that like were just like, you're too loud. They wouldn't give me any kind of other like your cymbals, they're too loud. Like, it's not going to work.
Yeah,
like, that was all I got.
do about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was all. That was, and like at this point, it's just like play softer. And I'm like, that's like way easier said than done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because when you get into a song and you're playing, it's very hard to like play comfortably if you're not playing at like what your normal like playing volume is. I don't know how to explain it. So when I was playing some stuff, some camps, whatever, and it would be like too loud, I just started thinking like, how can I play comfortably? Because here's the thing, playing with hot rods, that sucks. It sucks. Playing a normal kit with hot rods sucks. I hate it.
Especially your playing your floor tom with a hot rod.
Oh,
Why would
man.
you even have a floor tom?
Yeah. So no. Yeah. It's not fun. And so I was always trying to figure out a way so I could play comfortably, but also not be obtrusive in my volume. And this is where I heard Brent Hammond playing one of these index snares one time, and it was on like an Instagram video, and it was just the front of house. It was somebody doing a video from front of house, and the thing sounded ridiculously huge.
It sounds good by itself too.
Like it sounds like so good, and I was like, "That's it," because he was playing with brushes, big fat brushes, and my first thought was I could play as hard as I want with that. That was my first thought. Like, I don't have to worry about like hitting too hard.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to worry about like whatever. So it ended up borrowing one a few times to kind of get a feel for it. And I kind of just crafted this setup out of it. And that's kind of what we use on for student worship now, and what Mash used the other night and stuff. And I just really like it. So that was kind of the context I gave Brandon before camp. And then he kind of brought his own flavor to it, brought some shaker work. I'm very bad at shaker. I need to practice that. But he was just very, very good. Brought tons of heat, and yeah, it was awesome. And I think I sent Hunter another song. I mean, it's a clip. Hopefully it's okay. We'll ask permission before we actually play it, I guess. But it's a clip from Alive by Sunrise, their new EP that we talked about last episode. And it's a song that me and the producer worked for literal hours trying to kind of just come up with something that could be like auxiliary drum sounding. And we ended up coming up with this. It's not really an acoustic set, but if it can give you an idea of like some different sounds. I guess where I'm trying to go with this is like, you don't have to play what's on the record for something to sound good. If you're a church drummer, you don't have to play exactly what they're playing in order to sound good.
Yeah.
I often never do that.
Yeah.
Because either I'm in a situation where I have to adapt for volume, or I'm in a situation where I can't play the song as solid as I want to without changing it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so when we went into this song, we were just trying to do something different that wasn't just your typical worship format stuff. So we had some, I didn't have mallets, so I said in the last episode, I put cymbal felts on the ends of my drumsticks so that I could kind of have mallets, and did some toms stuff. We got some interesting tones out of the snare and toms and cymbals and stuff. So I just wanted to share a little clip of it, give you an idea of just something you could do different if you ever wanted to just try something different. So that's me playing on the toms and snare with the snares off. I think I had a big fat snare drum too. Yeah. So that was something we worked. We messed with the mic placements. We did a bunch of different stuff for literal so long. I remember the guys were like, have y'all even started this song yet? What are y'all doing in here? And we were just working,
hitting things.
And it was all for this one section of the song, and then it's over. But and then it's over. So we did that, and I thought it was a really kind of rewarding process because I had no idea what it was going to sound like. We said in the last episode, all I had to go off of at that point was a scratch track of the arrangement. We had kind of rehearsed it, but we didn't really know what we were going to do, or I didn't know what I was going to do fully with the drums. I knew some stuff, but not all of it. And so I'm a sucker. Okay, if anybody's listened to old Hillsong United or Hillsong, no, it's not United. It's Hillsong Worship, the Beautiful Exchange record. The song, The Beautiful Exchange, has something similar, which I just said I wanted to do something different than your typical worship song. But the reason that I like that song so much is because when I heard it, I was like, this is way different than anything I've ever heard.
Yeah.
What he was doing with the toms and snare, he had the snares off. He was playing with sticks, so it's a little different tone there. But he would hit the snare without. He would do tom work and hit the snare without snares, and it sounded just like a higher tom or something almost, but it was slightly different. I don't know. So that always stuck with me, and I would always pull that out in worship moments. Just if we were in a lull moment and it needed something, I would try stuff like that. I guess my point in all of this is just, if there's any drummers listening, you do not have to play exactly what is being played on the recording. Do different stuff. Now, here's what I'll say with that. Don't try to change the whole song. That would be obnoxious. But
there's a tasteful way
there's a tasteful way to do it. And you have your song, your verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. You have your song. And then there's other stuff that's in songs, like instrumentals, and there's interludes, and there's tail ends. I don't know what your church does. If your church does any kind of stuff on the fly, spontaneous, if you want to call it that stuff, that is where you can really find your wheelhouse. I guess that's where I found my wheelhouse is playing at services, and we'd just be in a moment and just be going, seeing what was going to happen. And I would just try different stuff. Not all of it worked. A lot of it didn't, but like I would find these little nuggets and I'd be like, oh, that's actually kind of cool. And then people in the band would be like, hey, it was really cool when you did this. I'd get feedback from people like, what did you think about this? So then I just began to build a style and stuff that I would do in different environments. And I'm not saying that that's the only way you should do it, but I'm saying like, I think that that's a good practice.
Mm-hmm.
If I was going to give a drum clinic today, I would spend a lot of time on the not only tasteful drumming, but what's the word? Like selfless drumming. That's what I'm going to call it. Because selfish drummers are going to dig their feet in and say, I don't care what sound man Joe tells me. I am going to do what I'm going to do. And they're going to like it.
They're going to have to adjust to me.
Exactly. That's selfish. When in reality, I could have asked Brandon. To go to camp and then told him, hey, it's going to be this kind of setup. We're in a big tent. You can't play normal. And he could have been like, I'm out. Could have done that. I could do that if I've been asked to play at stuff. They didn't even tell me. A lot of times, this is a good practice too, drummers. If somebody asks you to play a gig, ask them questions. How big is the room? What is the setting like? Don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to have to play something that makes you uncomfortable. Like if you're going to have to go in there, if you bring your whole full kit with cymbals and snare and everything and playing regular sticks. And,
yeah, like if somebody wants you to bring your drum set into a 50-seat room and you're going to be the bad guy.
Exactly. So set yourself up for success. Ask questions. Yeah, that's about all I had with that, but I think it's important.
So I have a question.
Would save a lot of arguments, I think.
Drum question of the day.
All right, let's go.
I see it a lot, and it always distracts me. Well, I wouldn't say distracts, but always catches my attention. Every time I see a Worship Online drum video, there's this thing on the snare drum. It's got these, it looks like it's putting tension on the drum, and it's got these two little flaps where every time they hit the drum, what is that?
And the flaps kind of do this when they hit it. So that is what's called, what are they called? A snare weight. They're snare weights. I have one. I actually really like it. It's basically it's like a leather just patch. It clips on the hoop of your drum and sits on the snare. It's just a dampening technique.
So it's same
as moon gels. Same as, it works better than moon gels, but same as like a ring, one of those rings that goes around and dampens. It's the same thing. They're more expensive, so they're probably less common, more common amongst like, touring drummers probably. But I like snare weight a lot. There's a lot of options there. Also, what I was gonna say, just real quickly, I don't know how much time we have, but
we're at 43 minutes.
Okay, we're okay.
Looking pretty good.
So I kind of said we talk about acoustic drums, the kind of low volume setup that I'm talking about, and then kind of threw in electronic drums because a lot of people, I think, when they're too loud, when their drum set overpowers the room that they're playing in, whatever, the first option is, I guess we got to get an electronic drum set. Which, first of all, I'm not anti electronic drum sets, but it's hard. First of all, a good electronic drum set is going to cost you a lot of money.
Are you saying, so would it be better? Would it be an idea, instead of going straight to really expensive electric drum set, let's see what we can do to reduce sound?
That's exactly what I'm saying. My thing is, first off, I don't hate playing electronic drum sets, but there's just a thing about electronic drum sets that they're not going to sound real. Like, I don't really know how to explain it. Like, to me, an electronic drum set, as weird as this sounds, is less of a big deal when, like, you're in, like, a big room. Does that make sense? Like, we had it at our church for a long time. We have a really big worship center, And until like 6 years ago, we used electronic drums.
So you're saying when it's in a big auditorium, it doesn't really matter.
That's how I see it.
Yeah.
If I was in my student service where like everybody, like the front row is like right there, and like everyone can see exactly what you're doing at all times. It seems weird. It's just weird.
There's no sound coming from
except and when you're that close, you can hear like the stick slap the pads. Like it's like, and it depends on what kind of kit you get, but if like your cymbals are like plastic and it's like whack whack whack, like it's just distracting. But anyway, I would for sure, to me, live, if you can do it, live drums, do it. If you are too loud with live drums, see what you can do. We're gonna post the link to that Shane and Shane Worship Initiative video because I think it's helpful,
and the
super
index
helpful,
snare.
And the index snare. In the show notes, so you can just check it out. But that, I would say, as far as challenges for worship leaders, challenges for worship drummers, worship leaders in the sense that you have drummers that don't want to play anything except their kit, whatever. This could be a resource, but just be selfless.
It all goes back to every instrument, whether you're guitar, bass, singing. The point of you leading worship is not at all about you.
Right.
And okay, the typical thing, it's about God. Yeah, I'm saying right now it's more about, somebody could soundbite this and tear me to shreds.
Sure.
But you're trying to create, like, here's one thing that it's like, it's like this. Number one rule, I want it to sound like the record. Okay,
right.
That doesn't necessarily mean that every hit has to be the exact same. Make it your own.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, I want the general whole of the song,
dynamics and everything to flow.
Sound like they did when they produced it. Okay, so when some people will say, "Oh, well, you're just expecting perfection," or "I'm doing the best I can." Okay, there's a point where that's true, but there's a point where that's you might be a little too lazy to live up with that.
Right.
So what people will say is, it doesn't. God doesn't expect perfect. You're right, but I want it to sound good, not to say, "Look how good I did, God." I want it to sound good so the people listening to it are not distracted and can engage in worship.
Sure, yeah.
And the next thing is, it's not about you, not necessarily because it's all about God. It is all about God, but in that moment, in the earthly thing that's happening, which is worship, you want the congregation to be able to worship God. Because technically, the goal there is for you to work together as a unit for people to worship God, not necessarily for you to say, "Oh, well, I feel comfortable, and in this moment I can worship God." Sometimes I'll go so far to say there's been times where I can't hear anything I'm playing. I'm not getting any musical reward out of what's happening.
Yeah.
But that's because I understand the main goal is to create an atmosphere of worship. And if that's what sounds best, that's what sounds best.
I think at the end of the day, that attitude of like just digging your heels in and taking a stand against the sound guy, I think at the end of the day, it comes down to
it's not a lot of fruit there.
It's not a lot of fruit there. What I was going to say, it comes down to, I think that the drummers think that their way sounds better.
Yeah.
And let me just let you in on something. If your sound guy's telling you you're too loud and they can't get the vocal mics out in front of the drums because they're so loud, that's not going to be a good worship experience for anyone. You might have felt a little more comfortable. You might have thought you sounded better, but that's going to suck for everybody else.
Yeah.
So be selfless. Be a selfless drummer. Don't be a selfish drummer. If somebody tells you it's too loud, just say, "Dang, okay, well, that sucks, but let's see what we can do."
Yeah.
Let's see what we can do here. Let's try out these options. $30 for that ocean drum, tape a shaker on top of it, like that's easy stuff.
Oh yeah.
And like it sounded good. So anyway, yeah, love it. Be selfless.
That was a good drum episode.
It was.
Bro,
We threw a little bone out there for the
Legit.
drummers.
So yeah, hope you like it. This is episode 49. We are officially 3 episodes away from a year's worth of
Wild.
Lit P.
That 52nd episode, we have to do something crazy.
I know.
Absolutely crazy.
So we've always been talking about doing a Lit P jam session. What if we did that for episode 52?
I love it. I'm for it. I don't know what that even means.
We
but
could literally like do a song and then chat in between a song and then do a song.
Wow. Think of how amazing that would be.
That would be so
People
cool.
would love it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
People would love it.
All right, well, this is the end of the next Lit P episode. Hey, I forgot to mention this last time. We have a new patron.
Oh,
His name is DJ Mellow Phil.
Mellow Phil.
If you want to hit him up, he runs a business called Arklatex Entertainment. Or is it Alt Entertainment?
I mean,
at one point
it
it
is
was Alt.
Arklatex,
Oh,
but
yeah.
ALT. Yeah.
Alt Entertainment, Arklatex Entertainment. Hit him up on the Insta and get him to book your next gig. We're not really doing this as a plug, but that's what he does mainly. And
family friendly DJ.
he's pretty legit.
Yeah, it's very good.
I have some videos of Mellow Phil.
I've heard him
getting it.
like mash up Coldplay with Star Wars. It just gets wild. Okay.
You won't
gets
even know where you
wild.
are after a certain amount of time.
Yes.
So yeah,
Love it.
Shout out to
DJ
Phil.
Mellow Phil, Philip Cole. You're the
Cole.
bomb.
You rock. So yeah. And then this is it. Bye.
This is it. Bye.
Oh wait, I'm just kidding. Oh, make sure to go unfollow Mash on Instagram.
It's for you, Mash.